Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. How are we? How are we? I hope you're doing well today, and I hope your weekend went well. It is Monday once again. We are, what, 2 weeks into April? I think it's 2 weeks. It's the 14th. Yeah, 7 days. Yes. 7 days a week. So we're 2 weeks into April, halfway through the month, which is kind of fucking wild. Um, because May is gonna be so busy that I'm like, no, we cannot be halfway into April. This is not allowed. But we are. Whoa. So I hope your weekend went well. I spent the weekend working on our foam based terrain pieces because we have three, well, technically two, which would be the Plague's Hospice and the like mansion, the inside of the mansion for Famine. So I made the base pieces. They're coated, double coated, coated in black and Mod Podge, then covered in black again. And I also cut out all of the wall pieces to be able to move like the walls and stuff around inside of Plague's Hospice. So, because we kind of want that to shift and change if they choose to fight him, because he should be like not the most difficult to beat, but because he's kind of the only good guy they're gonna face in any capacity, if they choose to fight him or kill him anyways, then it needs to be kind of the hardest battle, except for maybe our final one, because I want there to be a message of like, hey, you are fighting the only like good character in this whole thing. So y'all know the building will fight for him and the people will fight for him, and it's even got the added thing that like they won't know, but if they choose to fight him, all of the like minion enemies can't die, cause that's literally the point of Plague. So it'll be funny if they choose to do that and they fight these little minions, and I'll go like, oh, you see him like drop down and like collapse on the floor, and they're like, yes, and then I'll be like, and then you see him get the fuck back up. Like, not a single one be dead, bro. Which I think will be funny, and hopefully if they fight, we'll tell them very quickly that this is not a fight they're gonna win, or at the very least, not a fight they're gonna win easily. Because technically speaking, they can kill Plague, right? Plague themselves can die, but at that point, hopefully they will have talked to Plague and gotten the truth out of Plague and not kill Plague. But who knows? Maybe they'll just run in and kill them. I don't know. Also, it's been funny because I haven't really, in my head, the four horsemen are just brothers, but I haven't really assigned like genders or anything to any of them except for War, because he's our king and I want him very like traditional, to put a point forward. And Famine in my head is the Duke from Resident Evil Village, so he's also kind of a dude, but he's more of an amalgamation than a dude. But Plague is funny because I'll switch back and forth between he and they and she. Plague is me. Because, I mean, I am the most attached to Plague in many of ways, and I definitely don't have a PC that is just Plague. But anyways, so it kind of makes sense that they're flopping all over the place, but it'll be interesting because I don't know that a lot of shows have that, so that will be fun to play with. And because even the mini that we chose for her is like traditional female tiefling with the big ponytail and more of like a dress. So we'll see what ends up happening with her. And then Death doesn't have a form. Death is just Death, so it's gonna take different forms. So we'll see how that goes. And then we know our queen is our queen because we want her to be the big evil, because that's why the king and the queen have to be that way, because they're, and then the son, because they're supposed to mimic like I almost said the Triforce, Lord help me making a religious campaign. I swear to God, I really almost referred to it as the Triforce. I really almost called the Trinity the Triforce. Oh, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun. I wonder how much BTS, like how much behind the scenes is gonna be on this recording, because I have a feeling we're gonna have some fun stuff. And I've been writing out extra monologues, which is gonna kill me because I don't know. I might end up using all of the monologues, which will be fun and neat and dandy, and I like that because when we did 4 recording sessions for Decaying Light, it ended into 8 episodes. We're like hour and a half max, and I'm still keeping that length. Because that way, if you're not a combat bitch and you don't want to watch the combat episode, you can skip it. So, like, you can skip it. But when we did that, because we didn't know we were going to do that when we started filming Decaying Light, it means that every even-numbered episode doesn't start with a monologue. It starts with, like, a last time on, and then it does, like, previously clips. Which are fine. I like the previously on because it's a good recap because I don't give recaps. Never have. Never fucking will. People can eat my ass. And that's funny for me to say because I am a person who needs a recap. I like a recap on a show. If I pop on a Netflix show, and unless I've been watching it straight, like if I just pop on a random Netflix show, I'm like, oh, I stopped that 2 months ago. Let me turn it on. It better have a fucking recap on it. I swear to God. And I'm a huge hypocrite because anything I run, I'm like, nah, I ain't giving no recaps. Fuck that. Absolutely not. Mainly because I don't remember it. So they're not happening. And it kind of takes a little bit away from the show dynamic, I think, when it's in there. But it is what it is. That's kind of up for debate. But because I don't give recaps, I do like the previously ons, but I was only doing the monologues, like I only had 4 of them because we didn't know it was going to be 8 episodes. So this time around, I have been writing 2 monologues per, like, session, so to speak. And I think I have 4 more to write because I'm not sure if we're going to end up with 4 or 6. So this season is either going to be 8 episodes or 12 episodes. I don't know which because I don't know how long combat's going to take. Because I don't know how badly I'm going to fuck up the combat. Or how much of it we're going to cut. Because we are an edited show and you best believe I'm not leaving a whole hour something unedited of combat. Absolutely not. Not unless I fucking have to. We'll see. But anyways, because of all that, I've been writing extra monologues. So I've got 4 left to go. I've written 4 of them. That means I have 6 left to go. 1, 2. Because the beginning ones are done. I made a beginning one, and then I made famines. And I made, it goes famine and then plague. So I made both of plagues, which is the one that will come out if they don't fight plague, and the one that will only come out if they do fight plague. So his are done, and then I just wrote, so I must have written 5, because I think I just wrote maybe not. I was finding passages, because each monologue is gonna have a Bible passage. Fuck yeah, it is. We're getting nitty gritty out there. I want to make them people mad. I want to make religious fuckers. Actually, to be honest, I think if you are not a annoying Catholic or a boomer, I guess, if you're not a piece of shit, then I don't think anything I'm doing would make you, like, at least Bible passage-wise, would make you upset. Because I'm using them they're out of context. Wouldn't call them in context because it's a different story. But they are related to what we're telling. Because I think so far they're all from Revelations. Which Revelations is the apocalyptic book of the Bible. It's the one that talks about the 4 horsemen, the 7 like trumpets and the 7 plagues and stuff that come down, and like the blood in the water and all that kind of jazz. So I don't think that folks would be upset unless you're a little bitch. But it'd be kind of funny. I'm not holding back at the very least. I can feel. Yep. There's a piece of my lipstick sitting there. That's what happens when you use lipstick that's from like Hot Topic 7 years ago. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna have to leave it alone. It's harder for me to see on this camera. I cannot tell. I'd have to bust out my phone. Hold on, y'all. Let me bust out my phone. Make sure we be looking okay. Dun 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 dun. Yeah, I'll live. I've had worse on the camera. It's fine. But like, anyways, the thing with Revelations, I've been pulling passages from Revelations in the Catholic Bible and using them to start all of the monologues. So I've written the 4, which are the beginning one for famine, which I think actually I should add a 3rd one in there. In case we're going to have 12 episodes, I think I should have 12 monologues, not just 8. So I think I'm going to write another one for famine, because the beginning one is like setting everything up. And then I think I have one for famine, and then I should have a second one that is also famine based, because if they go to fight him, then it might be mixed in there. So I'll probably write another for famine, and then I'll probably write a few generic ones. But I've got those 2. Plagues are done. And then I was pulling out passages that I liked, so I haven't written the monologues yet, but I was pulling out passages that were so good, where they were like there was, oh come on, I got it. Oh, there's specifically one about death that I haven't written yet that says, it technically says death in Hades, but I would take out Hades. It says, death will experience a second death himself, which is perfect for our purposes because he's one of the horsemen they have to kill. So it can be like, ooh, he's gotta die too. I did not expect that to happen. Hey, theta. The thing that immediately came to mind as potentially offensive is putting Jesus's dialogue in a horseman's mouth. He shouldn't have any. I don't think he should, because by the time we're in Revelations, he's gone. Like, Revelations is his coming back, but it's a very prophetic. Like, it uses a lot of symbolism. Also, hello Theta. I don't think... Yeah, I'm not pulling anything directly from, like, New Testament territory. Well, I guess Revelations is New Testament. But not from, like, him, because in our story, technically... Okay, so, let's do this for a second, because I have found the way that this has been developed is very interesting, and I'm so glad you're here, Theta, because you are a great person to talk about it with. So... how this has been developing as I've been writing, like, the plot and more of it and throwing things in and changing bits and pieces without spoiling, because I think we've discussed most of this here. It originally was, like, the concept of, like, yes, but it doesn't feel New Testament. Yeah, exactly, Theta. Revelations doesn't feel like it's New Testament. It feels like it should be its own book, you know what I'm saying? It really does not feel New Testament. But technically it is. It's just like the end of it, but nobody talks about it. But anyways, so as I've been working on it, our original, like, there's a little paint splotch there. It's fine. Was sort of, 4 horsemen, the king is sort of been, like, manipulated by the queen, and she's the big bad evil, and the king's son has died, which has spurred this all on. And the imagery was sort of like, there's a bit of, like, Jesus and sacrificial lamb and stuff in here, and et cetera, and, you got the king, and you got the Trinity, which I call it the Triforce, and all that jazz. But what's been developing is the idea of, like, we're gonna take Jesus out, but put references in there, has molded into his reference with him being the son that dies. So essentially the son that dies or has already died at the beginning is the big parallel to Jesus, right? He's the innocent, like, lamb that gets sacrificed and slaughtered, did nothing wrong. Him dying, like, sets everything in motion, all that kind of jazz, right? Like, he dies for the people's sins, or at least that's what our bad guys are seeing it as. So he really, really parallels it, and it's become solidified in that way where, like, I reference Jesus through the Son so many times. Especially because Jesus in the Bible is the Son. However, what's become interesting, and what I think has allowed us to, like, sort of twist and mold where some people might still be upset, but it definitely feels like fiction versus just, like, a bad faith interpretation, is it has very much become less of, like, you know, boo God, boo Catholicism energy and Jesus as a parallel. And it has become almost like, because our queen is a reference to, hey, Rywick, welcome! Hello, Raiders! Thank you, welcome, y'all! Hello, Rywick Raid! I love that thing, I don't know what they're called, the alert that comes up, because it goes, like, right over my face, and then when it fades, I have, like, glowy red eyes. Hi, guys! I'm so glad to see you guys! Oh my gosh. Roast beef and cheddar, bite of cheddar, baked beans, unabashedly Ash, let's go! Everybody's here! How are you guys? You're here early today. It is 9:16. We just started. Guys, say hello to Theta. Theta is one of our lovely only food people follow you? Apparently, Rywick. Apparently. How do you get all these food people following you, and why do they so many of them have to deal with cheese? Specifically cheddar as well. What is that about? Do you have a thing for cheddar? Like, do you like cheddar? What is this? Theta, I'm just gonna read what you said earlier. There's some scholars who argue that Revelation is a Jewish apocalyptic work that got lightly edited by a Christian. Oh, Theta, we will talk about that in a moment. It's because I'm quite the dish. Love it. Well, welcome, everybody. I appreciate y'all being here. What were you guys doing this time? Were you still at the titty milk farm? Was this still happening with the titty milk bar or the titty milk farm? Is that where you were today? What was happening today? Because last time, that was our whole thing. Oh, you guys are so cute. Nah, today was Ash's Saucy Maids. Oh! So more like, well, I guess Hooters would have been closer to the titty bar. But like a maid cafe. Kind of like adult maid cafe energy. I love that! Hi, Beef, your baby's cheddar. Wait, this is so cute. You guys are so cute with each other. Oh my god. Oh my god, you guys are so cute. Ah! I adore y'all. I'm parasocial. So I'm just cute with anybody who shows up. I'm just like, whatever you want, chat. Whatever you want. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah, so you guys were kind of like adult maid cafe. I love that energy. I've always wanted to go to a maid cafe. I think that'd be fucking fire. I gotta be honest. I kind of think that would be fire. If there was like maid cafe energy. Yeah, I don't know. I think it'd be cool. But you guys have stumbled in on a fun time. We will be painting and stuff in a little bit, but at the beginning of the stream, we often chat. And usually we chat about random things, so feel free to, if you guys need to piece, feel free to piece. I know how it gets. Again, when I close every stream, I go in and eat my chicken nuggies, all right? And I turn on a K-drama, and I call it a night, okay? So if you need a piece, go for it. Maid cafes are fun. I've always wanted to go. I would work at a maid cafe. Bro, if they would let me be the goth maid at a maid cafe. No, not the goth maid. I want to be I never remember if it's a tsundere or a yandere. But I want to be the like bad girl. The one who's wearing all the chains and shit and is like, here's your food. You know what I mean? Like that energy. Let's fucking go. I'd love that. Beans, I would love to see you at a maid cafe. Fire. I would be a regular at Beans Maid Cafe. Beans, you're gonna have to be a maid cafe. You're gonna have to go to a maid cafe. Are we gonna have to start up a maid cafe? Which maid do you want to be, Beans? Which maid do you want to be? You have first choice. First pick. Which kind of maid do you want to be? You can be whatever you want. No questions asked. Fully up to you. You let me know. We make it happen. I would be a Dommy Mommy. Done. Solid. I do have to ask, though. Are you tall and or large? Both would be perfect for a Dommy Mommy. If you've got both, let's go. But I feel like you need one in order to be the Dommy of the mommy. Beans is a Dommy Mommy? Okay, alright, as long as we're getting verification here. Because if you don't have one or the other, like if you're me, like skinny and average height, Dommy's a little hard. Dommy's a little hard. Beans is minuscule? Oh no. Beans would be the type of maid where people would pay extra to have her spit in their drink. Bro, you know how much money you could get for spitting in their face? Oh my god, bro. Bro, I fucking wish. Yanderis are obsessive. Tsunderes don't give a crap. Thank you, Theta. We love you, Theta. So Tsundere is the one I'm talking about then. Okay. Perfect, Tommy. 5'8" and a gym bro? Uh-oh. Rywax claiming you're a liar. Beans is small, but Beans be mighty. You can be small and still be a Dommy. Like, you can have Dommy energy. We're just gonna need to get you some really long boots. They don't have to be heights. You don't gotta wear, like, super high heels. It doesn't need to make you taller. But they're gonna, if you're short, it's gonna have to, like, go up to halfway to your thigh. Just so, because they're gonna want the leg out. Because when you're smaller, you have to have, like, the assets that can go with it. So we're gonna need to get you some, like really high lace-up boots. Tsundere means cold and hot. Ooh, interesting. Beans can wear sexy stripper boots? Hell yeah. Thank you for that clarification. Yes, yes, yes. $5 in Monopoly money to spit in my coffee? Bro. Absolutely not. Listen, I will always advocate for, if some bitch wants you to do shit, get paid to do it. Get paid to do it, bro. Oh my god, do it. Just make sure you're getting paid. And Monopoly money doesn't count, okay? You have to actually pay good ass money. Unless you're me, in which case I will do it for free on a live stream. But I'm a loser, okay? And a hypocrite. You should be getting paid to do it. Listen here, I'm not short. I'm just small framed. So I can let you have your lies if that's better for you. I mean, I don't know you. I've not seen you. I've not met you. But that is sounds like a common lie that I have heard from other short people. That's all I'm gonna say. That was towards Beans? Oh, Rywek, that's what I'm telling them. I am specifically telling Beans $5 in Monopoly money is not real money. Get paid to do it. They should get paid to do it. That's not paying them, Rywek. You gotta pay them money. Alright? Thank you. Monopoly money is Canadian dollars. In what world? Monopoly? In Monopoly land? Do you see anybody here living in Monopoly land? Because Canada can't be Monopoly land. Do you want to know why? Because Monopoly is a game about capitalism. You know what country has capitalism on lock? United States of America. Thank you very much. My height is accurate. I love this. We have all seen Beans. Beans is not short. They're just small. I think I understand. I think I understand. But I would not put it past me to be confused. Everyone lives with some lies. Beans thinks she's tall and buff. Rachel is an advocate for hydration. I will. Slaughter all of the men. Every last one. Every last one. Don't do it, Rywack. Nope, there's no clip. Any clips of me advocating for hydration are your AI generated nonsense, all right? And that is the end of the conversation. Beans is tall. Oh, I love the little seal. I think what they're saying is that Canadian currency is jokingly called monopoly money by foreigners. I would believe that, Theta. I think I fully believe that. But I just feel like, as Americans and the inventors, and it's not proprietors, it's not progressors, it's not progenitors. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm almost positive it's a it's not perpetrators. Oh my god, what's the word for when you are actively, like, pushing something and continuing something? Our money is made of plastic. Oh, fair point, actually. You're okay. But, like, oh my god, what's the word? Wow. Every language is escaping me. Oh no, there is an ad break. I'm sorry to the raid people if you disappear. Hold on, I gotta look this up, y'all. IDK. So I'm a language person, and it's making me upset that I don't know the word. Hold on. And I know no one's gonna care but me, so I apologize, but I have to know. The closest word I can think of, is it propagate? Am I looking for propagate? Am I looking for propagate? The word for what? The word for when you are actively pushing and continuing something. Is it propagate? Propagator? Well, Thesaurus doesn't know what the fuck it is, so I guess not. No, it's not preserving. Preserving breed specimens of a plant or animal by natural parent. Speed and it is propagate. It's propagate. Aha, ha. Sorry, guys. I'm a language person. I'm a very, like, English language person, so I knew the word. Perpetuate works too. Perpetuate works as well. Thank you, Theta. The U.S. is no longer capitalistic, but fascist. So Canadian is monopoly moneyland. Actually, Cheddar, you got me there. We are no longer capitalistic. We are, in fact, a fascist country. So I didn't say that, and that was a joke. I didn't say that, and that was a joke. I didn't say that, and that was a joke. But yes, fascism and capitalism are not mutually exclusive. This is true. So perpetuating works. The word I was thinking of, though, was propagate, because the word, and that's why I was thinking progenitors, but I knew it wasn't progenitors, because we're propagators, because it's got the G in there. So propagate is usually used with, like, plants, where animals will, like, eat the seeds and then shit out the seeds. So what they're doing is they're pushing the seeds forward to go and plant more and more and more and more and more in more and more lands across more and more countries, etc., etc. But I was using it in terms of, like, we are the propagators of, which again might not be a word, but we are the propagators of this capitalistic thing, because we would go country to country to country to country to country and shove capitalism in their faces. So that was what I was trying to go for. Breganantes. I'm going to bed. Welcome to your English lesson. If you ever have a Shakespeare or an English question, you can come bring it to me. I will know the answer and I will give you a speech. But if you're really going to bed, Rywack, thank you for coming. I appreciate you. Have a good night. Enough politics for me. I'm gonna be lurking. Goodbye, Cheddar. Thank you for lurking. And that goes to anyone, y'all. All of you showed up. Thanks for coming down to the raid and lurking or peacing out if you need to go. Theta and I were talking about, Theta, I think you're still here with us. I know you're a little behind on YouTube. But if you're interested in continuing the conversation, and anybody who wants to, please feel free to jump in. we are talking about our next show that we're recording in June, and that's what we're painting these minifigures for. It is religious horror, but a lot of the theming comes from Catholicism because I grew up Catholic, although I am no longer, which you are still here. Amazing, Theta. So we'll continue talking about it. I won't get into the complications of how, even though I say I'm no longer Catholic, technically, according to the Catholics, I will always be Catholic because that's part of the Catholic doctrine, but that's here nor there. So we were talking about some interesting religious things because when we originally were working on this campaign, we're going with the apocalyptic or the prophetic books of the Catholic Bible, which is Revelations. And so it's the four horsemen, it's the end of the world, it's the second coming, or the last judgment, if you will, which is the name of our show. And we were talking about like how I'm using a lot of quotes from Revelations to start the monologues that I give at the beginning of the episodes. And our parallel to Jesus, because he's sort of the one figure that's weird because he's just a Catholicism figure, right? So in the way that he is. Other religions have him, but not in the way that Catholicism does. So I was sort of trying to not necessarily avoid or ignore, but specifically parallel him in ways so that folks could recognize it without understanding that he's like a big deal. Because our universe, although it has a bunch of stuff thrown into it from Catholicism, because that's the basis here, does not have a singular God, does not have a son of God, which is Jesus. However, for our plot, we have a king, a queen who is our ultimate big evil, and they have a son. The son dies off screen before the show begins, and that is our parallel to Jesus being crucified, sacrificing the lamb, and how the death of the lamb is essentially what saves the world from sins, comes again at the end of the world, and saves the world of all their sins by bringing them to heaven. So that is sort of the parallel that's in our story, which is the son dies, and that is what starts like the coming of the end. And he is the sacrificial lamb, the same way like Jesus is in the Bible, where the queen is like being like, oh, his death is the sacrifice as our players go and kill all the horsemen to cleanse the world of its evil people, or its sins, if you will. And that's sort of what happened. So we were talking about that and the parallels that we were bringing there and Revelations. I believe the quote you had for death is something like, death and Hades were cast into the lake of fire, which is the second death. That's the quote, Theta. So this is what I was talking about. I was reading through Revelations, which is, again, an apocalyptic book in the New Testament. And I'm just reading Revelations. I've never read the Bible. It was not required in my generation of growing up Catholic, so I never read it. So it's very interesting to be sitting down as my work, and my work is to read the Bible. Like, now granted, I'm just reading Revelations and any other of the prophetic books. I'm not going from all the way to the beginning. I'm not looking to dive into Old Testament, really not even all of the Jesus stuff. Like, I want long after. I don't want all of that mixed in, because we're starting at the end of the end. So that is the quote I had, Theta. That is the exact quote that I was going to use for the first session where they're going to meet death. So that was going to be the quote that opens my monologue for that episode. And I think I changed it so it would say, death was cast into the lake of fire, which is the second death. Because all of that still kind of works in our universe. So I'm just going to take out Hades, because that would bring in some Greek mythology, and we don't need that. Whereas we are referring to him as a death. So that was going to be the first quote, and then hadn't written it yet, but I would probably follow it up with like talking about how in kind of in our universe, death is like not a person, right? It's kind of it's weird. It's kind of a person, but it's kind of not. It is just a thing. And this thing can change form. Some translations use he. Oh, perfect. That's perfect then. We will use that. Yeah, there are different translations for for all of the books in the Bible. Hell instead of Hades. Yeah, so I'm still not gonna use like heaven or hell. I've been avoiding heaven, hell, and angels and demons, just because I don't know quite what I want this to be. And there is some lore that I have made that I don't know if I've shared with you all yet. And in case I haven't, and in case it's gonna be a surprise, I don't want to say it at the moment, but there's some lore that has been mixed in that I am avoiding hell, heaven, and angels and demons. For who knows what reasons. Unless a player comes to me and specifically is like, I want to play like a celestial style character or a demon style character, then I'll fuck with it and we'll figure it out. We'll see how it goes. Because Daggerheart, technically, from what they've said, is going to have its own god lore that is very similar to like the god stuff that happens in Critical Role. I don't know how much of it Matt made up versus how much of it comes from D&D, but the very basics they gave, since Daggerheart isn't out yet, is that there are two sets of gods, and one set is like the good gods that live on the god plane, and one set is like the betrayer gods that live on the hell plane. And I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't like that. It's not a part of the world I want. And I was trying to figure out different ways to use it. Like, well, maybe instead of like good and bad, maybe it's just different planes. And you can travel to these different dimensions. It's just maybe they're a little harder to get to because these entities are a little more powerful. Or we also played with the idea when you guys were giving me weird gods, like the god of coins and the god of whatever. We played with the idea of, well, maybe there are no gods, and it's more like Hunter x Hunter style, where you just have like a specific, or JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, where you have a specific thing that you do, that only you do, that you're very good at. And I didn't quite like that either. If you'd like, you could say death in the grave or death in the pit. Ooh, those are both good options, Theta. I might do one of those. That might work well. We'll have to see what feels good when I'm practicing it. Because I usually just go with whatever kind of vibes. The way that I write monologues and stuff is so funny because I'm such an actor first. I will literally sit and I'll just improv. It's every time I write, whether it's dialogue, whether it's stuff, whether it's monologues, whatever it is, I improv out loud, saying everything, and then I type when it feels right. I type down whatever I said, which is why I would love to try one of those. We're against AI, but I would love to try. We're against generative AI. Let me be clear. I would love to try one of those AI programs where it picks up what you said, like a speech to text. The issue is most speech to text is fucking garbage. It's garbage. I've tried it when I had issues with my thumb and I like couldn't use my hand. It's garbage. It's awful. And I feel bad for anybody who has accessibility issues and has to use those features. Y'all, God, being actually like disabled in that kind of a way, y'all are fucking like, I know you don't want to be called saints, but y'all are like fucking God to your people because you deal with a lot of bullshit. Because was horrid to use. But yeah, so that's kind of the idea right now. Is I'm on Death's monologues, and then I will have the monologue for War and the monologue for the Queen. So I've got 2 for Death, because we've got 2. I made 4, then 2 for Death will get us to 6. And then if I make 2 for War, that puts us at 8. 2 for the Queen, that would put us at 10. We make an extra, like a final one. And we make another one for Famine, because Famine technically only has 1 right now. And then that would be 2 per horseman, plus a beginning and an ending. And I think that'll be good enough. We'll have some extras in case I want to use one or we don't go for all the episodes. But I think that's like the way to do it, because I want to make sure I have a bunch. Harrison Ford once advised George Lucas, move your mouth while you're writing. You can write this shit. We sure as hell can't say it, or something like that. That's so funny. Wait, that's so fun though. It's weird because different people work in different ways creatively, and I am I'm an entertainer. I've said it a million times. I'm a performer. This little piece of hair is not happy with his life. Wow. It's okay. You just, you know what? Just live and exist. It's fine. Just it's fine. Haven't had my hair cut in like 2 fucking years, so it is what it is. But yeah, we all create in different ways, and for me, improv is like just the way that I function. So I will improv it and then I'll type it down when it feels good. But yeah, I have 4 of them written, so I've got to write the other 8. They're not super long, because I do have to memorize them, but I think 1 is maybe pretty short, but it's meant to be because it's kind of emotional. And I think we chose this on the stream that for the first time, these monologues are not like an outside narrative the way, my god, what are the games called? Nope, I don't remember what they're called. But the way like Until Dawn has a character that's not involved in the story. With Dark Pictures Anthology, how their narrator is not involved in the story. That's usually how our monologues is. And for the first time, they're not going to be that. They are going to be in the perspective and done by our queen. So, wow, she looks so pretty far away. I'm so excited for her, y'all. So that is also changing it a bit, because this time our monologues are very specifically by a character who has a bias and has a perspective and has a point of view. So it's no longer me, Rachel, speaking with the audience and what I'm trying to portray to them. It is this character speaking into the void, or perhaps, if you will, praying into the atmosphere, right? She does in fact have a bias. Just a wee bit of a bias. Just a wee bit. But it's been interesting because it's changed a lot of my monologues from like this or that, or who knows what's gonna happen with these players, or oh, crazy things are gonna occur, like oh no, like you better listen. And it's become so many of these, possibly all of them, have really turned into like, if you don't know Mass, there's a part of the Mass when the priest gives a eulogy. No, eulogy are for dead people. A sermon? Is that what it's called? Because eulogy is for dead people. So what's the... He like will read a passage from the Bible, and then he talks about it and its meanings to the people. I can't think of what it's called. Because there's a specific word for that section. But that happens when you do Catholic Mass. The homily. Thank you, Theta. I knew you would know. I'm sitting here like, Theta's gonna know. Theta's gonna tell me. Like, thank you, Theta. I appreciate it. The homily. So, all of these monologues, because they're from her point of view, have genuinely, like, turned into homilies. It's been very interesting because they're not homilies in the sense where she's trying to like, this is what this means. Sermon is also used. Oh, okay. I know we always called them homilies, and that was the word I was trying to think of. It's not the same in the terms that I'm jumping up and down. Let's go. I knew you would know. Thank you. But so it's not the same in that she's not like speaking to a flock, right? She's not trying to speak to the audience as if she is telling them what the passage means. It's more so, it's almost as if she's a philosopher philosophizing about a passage, which is really funny, the combination that's happening of like the most... Possibly, some people think like atheism and stuff is the opposite of like religion. I think the philosophical stuff is kind of the opposite. Like, it's not science, it's like philosophy and shit. But anyways, So it's really funny to see like something so opposite of religion, which is like philosophy, mash. It just fully, like, they not even butt heads, they have combined with these sort of homilies that she's giving for monologues. And it's so interesting because I will say the passage, the verse from the Bible, or the couple of verses from the Bible, and then she will follow it up. Like, I'm not going to spoil the first one because the opening one to open the show is so good, you guys. It's so good. Oh my, I hope I can do it acting justice because it's so good. And I'm not going to spoil it, but what I will say is there's a very specific thing that happens in Revelations, because Revelations is a book of prophecy. There's a lot of, I see this, and the angel told me this, and then I saw fire and 3 lion heads. There's a lot of that. And towards the, like, middle-ish part of Revelation, when all the horsemen and the stuff starts happening, there is a very good line that is the start of the apocalypse, the image that John sees. John's the author, John of Patmos. And that very first image is so beyond perfect. That, like, because she says it, and then she talks about it as if she is the one who saw it. So the way that it deviates from the homily for a lot of these monologues, it is as if she is the one who wrote them. That's kind of the deviation, which I think is giving... Oh, you got rid of my janth. It's not seeing it as a separate thing, which is annoying. This isn't helpful to any of y'all, but okay. I have like a format on the screen and doesn't like it. But she isn't just going, these are some words that crazy, amazing people wrote, and what do they mean? It's her being like, blah, 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 blah. And I knew when I saw it that this is what it meant. Like, it's really, really interesting because, I don't know, we've almost made her into a prophet. And I think that's kind of funny because she's the harbinger of the end. So she really is like the prophet telling about the apocalypse. And if we make the assumption, which we'll see how it goes, but if we make the assumption that the players defeat her and stop the apocalypse, then she really is like a prophet, because it didn't all come true. So 100, 200 centuries from now, there could be people that are like, this is the prophecies and the stories, right? And she is the prophet that they're talking about. Like, that's just so cool to me. It's very, very interesting. It's similar to when Critical Role does like an EXU and they go back in history, except we are starting with the history type of energy. In more ways than one, which again, I don't know if I've talked about, so I don't want to spoil it just in case. But maybe I have, and then I look like a fool. It's okay. I can look like a fool. I do 24/7. But yeah, it's been really cool writing her stuff. So I've got 8 more to go, which is a lot. It's a lot because we are 2 weeks into April, and once May hits, you're never gonna see me again because I'm gonna have time to do nothing. So yeah, I have 2 weeks to finish our maps, paint these guys, and finish the monologues, and then any free second I get in May, which is gonna be basically nothing, and then especially after the game comes out on May 20th and the book is in my hands, it is going to be solely me trying to mechanically build our bosses, because I have basic ideas for what I want of like Famine to be able to do, or Plague to be able to do, or the Queen to be able to do, but there's no, like, I'm hoping, because I assume D&D has it, I'm hoping the Daggerheart book will have like a section of monsters that I can go to. Okay, these are, if your party is level 5 through 7, use these monsters. And then I can just copy and paste a stat block and change the name of everything and the descriptions of everything. That is what I'm hoping to do. But I can't do it until the game's out. I just checked. The chapter that introduces the horsemen also happens to feature that bit I mentioned about the extremely high grain prices. Yes, Theta, I might have possibly used that verse about wheat and barley for a penny for the monologue for famine. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? I could have. Yeah, I definitely stole that verse. That verse right now is the one that opens famines, although I want to write him a second one. Yeah, that one's pretty tasty too. That's a pretty good one. I mean, I'm just proud of myself for all of them, but if you like the kind of monologue that makes you go, ooh, that's a good one. Because that one has a line of dialogue in there that if I act it correctly, you'll go, And I think there's a lot of play on words and stuff. I think that one is fun. Whereas some of the other ones are like pure emotional, like when they get into, especially Plagues 2 monologue, not Plagues monologues, but the monologues that the Queen gives for Plagues episodes are a turn because they're less prophetic and more emotional. Though, because Plague is the good guy, essentially, the monologues that the Queen gives for Plague are very, like, as if we don't see her as a prophet or a bad guy or even a queen. We kind of see her as a mother. I think the Plague monologues are the ones where she is in touch with, like, the things I have done to bring this. You know, like, my son is dead for this thing that I believe in. Innocent people are suffering and will die for this thing that I am heralding. So those two are very kind of emotional, and you see her inner life and sort of the humanity and the motherhood that's inside of her, because that's kind of how Plague is, right? Like, Plague is a caretaker. They could have left, they could have run away. They're not suffering, they're not in pain, but for hundreds of years, they have stayed with their people. They have taken care of their people. They're innocent people. So it's one of those things where I think it'll be a very cool parallel happening of, it will tell the audience before we start that there's something up. Like, something weird is gonna happen with Plague, because all of a sudden our monologues have gone from, like, this man is evil, the famine bad, end of the world, to, you're just a mother like me, wanting the best for their children. And I think that'll tell the audience to go, huh, that's a tone shift. And then they'll meet Plague, and fingers crossed, the players will talk to Plague, learn some of the truth, and then the previous monologue being, like, more emotional and open will be like, oh, Plague's a good guy, and then with the second monologue for Plague, we'll sort of hammer it home of, like, if Plague is the good guy, then what are we? Because that's the big point of this show. Well, it's one of the big points, but one of the big points that's the twist to the players, so to speak, that we created was less of it is a twist that they're not the good guys, but that's not the point because that's been done before. Our twist is less of, hey, you're not the good guys, uh-oh, and more of, you're not the good guys, what happens now? Like, what does that mean? What does that change? What does that do? That's the point. And so Plague is supposed to be that halfway point where they come to the realization of, if Plague is the hero, if Plague is the good guy, then we must be the bad guys to some extent. What do we do about it? So, and that'll be interesting because what do they do about it? That's the fun part. And it also really, really feeds into our religion aspect, but specifically what we do and what we do best, our religious horror aspect. Because if you truly are a religious, a faithful, a devoted, a believer, right? If you are this kind of a person, then, unless you're working for a cult or whatever, usually the thing you believe in, the thing you are devoted to, the thing you have put your faith and your trust in your life into is some sort of embodiment of kindness and peace and hope and love and gentleness and forgiveness and, you know, all of these really positive traits. So the horror of that is not, to me, it's not, what if everything you think is wrong? No. It's what happens if everything you think is wrong. Because if the answer is just, well, I guess I was wrong, the world continues, that's not scary. That's not fun. That's boring. I don't like that. We don't want that. That doesn't make for good fiction and media and storytelling. But if the answer is, do I still believe, even though I have been faced with irrefutable evidence? If I do believe, have they changed? Has my faith shifted to someone or something else? Has it changed the way in which I see the world? Do I see my fellow people who believed in this with me as tricked and deceived? Do I see myself as that way? Or do I see us as ignorant? Do I see us as purposefully looking the other way? Do I see us as in the wrong? Do I see us as idiots because we should have known better? Like, that's what I'm intrigued by. And so that's sort of been what I have been talking about and been discussing with the players in a way that, you know, doesn't give anything away as much as possible. But really that concept of, like, come to me when you build your character with someone who has a passion in something. And it's funny because we were comparing it to D&D, and I was talking to them, and I was like, essentially, you don't have to come to me with exactly this, but if I were to give you an example, this would be the Oops All Paladin campaign. Because every single one of you needs to come to me with what is an oath, essentially, as an oath paladin. if you're going D&D terms, you need to bring me a character that has something or someone they believe in. No questions asked, hands down. They can have a reason they believe, they don't have to, but they have to have something that defines themselves, because I gotta break it. And that's where the horror comes from. But yeah, so that's the interesting thing. It doesn't have to be gods. It doesn't have to be religion. It could be the king. It doesn't have to be the king. It could be a whole different, like, in your backstory. It could be some words your dying mother told you on her deathbed. Like, whatever it is. It could just be that people are better. You don't have blind faith. Not trusting people is an oath. Like, everyone serves someone. The only choice is whom. That's right, Theta. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And that is exactly correct. And that's the thing, right? That goes exactly along with your oath can be that you believe in yourself, right? You don't trust people and you don't trust what they say until you have seen it with your own eyes, or you have done it yourself, or you have experienced it. That works. That would work in this kind of a campaign, because you have to think of it less from a religious point of view, like a traditional religion point of view, and more from a faith perspective. Faith and fate is kind of what we're dealing with here. You could come in with a character that is connected to nature and the universe, and their faith is in, like, the balance. Almost like a karma view, but less like you'll get what's coming to you, and more like I do good because the earth does good for me, right? Cycle of life energy. That's an oath. That can absolutely be your thing. This is more than horror, it's existential terror. Yeah, it is. And that's, as I've been developing this, I get more and more excited because I feel like it's a story I can really tell because I grew up Catholic. And also, you saying existential terror, existentialism is a movement and a belief that when I was like, I don't know, we were probably in probably like 17, 16, because it was AP English. When I was in AP Lit, we read the book, The Plague. No, The Stranger, sorry. We read the book The Stranger by Albert Camus, which is the start and the big movement of existentialism. And I loved it. And it's still in my top 3 books. I love existentialism very much. It's my oath, so to speak. So I really, really am excited to tell this story because I feel like this is something I can tell. I know it. I feel it. I can embody it. Like, I have experience with it. It feels like a story that was meant for me to tell, so to speak. Silly. And I'm kind of excited about it. I'm hoping... at the moment, we have 3 of our players returning. So speaking of faith, I have a huge amount of trust and belief in their ability to play characters and tell a story like I'm trying to tell. We have Molly, Jason, and Tom at the moment coming back. And I've been talking with them about some of their character ideas and stuff. And I have the trust that they can portray and get across and improve the dynamics and the world and the message that I want. We're looking for a 4th person. Casting call is up, so we'll see how it goes. But I have immense faith in them from the Decaying Light one. I think I am gonna have to remind myself that we're still doing horror, which is weird because that's also another big point, is like we're going to prove that fantasy can be horror. But sometimes when you get so stuck in the horror aspect or the fantasy aspect, you do lose a bit of that horror mindscape. So I'll probably have this is the first time I'm gonna have a DM screen. Crazy. But I'll probably have like a little sticky note on my DM screen that just says like horror in big capital letters in Sharpie, so that I remember that when I'm describing things and when I'm talking about things, it is still like, it's not like you walk into a castle laid in gold and whatever, and you see the king standing there with his such and such. No, it's, you walk into the castle and it's cold. It's dark. Think you hear something, right? There's still that playing in there. So I have to make sure I'm bringing some of that Candela energy. Speaking of which, I think that Thresher Critical Role Underwater Candela that is definitely inspired and influenced by us, and I will take no arguments, comes out this week. I think it comes out on the 17th. Let's fucking go. But I could be wrong. Might be later. Might be like 24th. But yeah, that is kind of what our campaign is about. And I'm crazy excited for it. I'm so excited for it. I don't know, man. It's just really cool, all the stuff that I've been trying to throw in and reference to in parallel. I've never done this much, I don't want to say research, because that's not quite, I guess there's research involved, because I'm reading Revelations, and I'm learning about, like, the Horsemen. But I've never had a source that I have been pulling from, and using from, and manipulating, and getting inspiration from. So it's been interesting to have that as a backbone and as sort of a book that I can pull from, and how it's been influencing all of what I've been working on. So I don't know. I'm kind of excited, but I'm also, like, a bit of me is like, I want it to go, because y'all know I always want to do everything all at once, and I'm waiting for the tons of messages, like the tons of DMs to begin, because I've gotten little bits and pieces from the players, but everybody has lives and stuff, so I've not gotten a huge amount on, like, answering character questions. So, and when they start solidifying the character they want to play, and the backstory's up to them. It's weird for me to for people to hear, but I'm not a DM who gives a shit about your backstory. Like, sorry, it can be important and it will get utilized. Just ask Molly. I fuck with her every time. But I'm more concerned with the character themselves. So I am just waiting on the edge of my seat, like foam at my mouth, like I have fucking rabies, for the text work. The messages that are gonna come my way that are like, okay, I think this is my character's deal. I think this is their fears and their wants and their needs, because that is the shit that I live for. That can change an entire dynamic, an entire, like, show. Like, it can fuck with the plot, it can fuck with the ideas, and it makes me beyond fervid and happy when those messages start rolling in. So I'm waiting. I'm just like, every day I'm waking up and I'm like, has anybody sent me their character work yet? Like, I love it. I love character work and getting to fuck with it. Especially because death is such a huge aspect in this. Like, death is gonna, convince them to die, or try. But death is gonna, like, pull up all their trauma. Like, I can't wait. I'm waiting for the messages to give me the character trauma. I don't know. But I gotta let things go. It's fun. And then this weekend, I'm gonna focus on finishing, hopefully, fingers crossed, the actual rest of our terrain, because everything's been coded in black and Mod Podge, and then double coded in black, both base pieces and the walls for our hospice, since they change. Although I'm not sure what I'm going to do for our walls, because I want them to be sturdy so that the players can use the piece, but they also need to move. I know I had folks suggesting we use the toothpicks and we put them in, like, the base pieces and then stab them into the terrain piece. It's gonna leave a lot of holes though, which I kind of didn't want to do. I could do, like, Velcro, But I don't know about that either. Because that might be hard to like pull on and off and I don't want to break it. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but that'll be this weekend's task is to get those completed. And I've got little wheat fields. There was like a little dollhouse miniature thing and they had wheat. They had mini wheat stalks. And so I got mini wheat stalks and I'm going to put it on our mansion for our famine guy. So it's like it's the outside front and the house. And then wheat stalks come up through the floorboards. It's going to be so cool. I got a little wheat. And I got a little white picket fence. I'm so excited, y'all. I just picture it like a plantation. Oh my god. Fantastic. But I guess we technically need to get to work. I gotta be painting, don't I? Alright, let me see. So I put some out so we can look at them while we paint, because a lot of them are like, we were making a lot of the NPCs like old X-Men comic territory where they all have bright primary colors, and I think it's hysterical. But also you can see that our main people are done here. So that's good, and we just gotta work on our nice evil lady queen. And then work on the other NPCs. So I guess we'll start with her. Let me turn my music on so I can hear it. Oh, I'm yawning already. Alright. Alright, y'all. Let's get to painting her. So, she's got we were using the other blue paint, but I think we're going to stick to what we have and just make it darker. So let me see. Yeah, we're putting a bit of purple onto that middle part as well. And then her hair is going to be gray. And maybe we do like I think we have to do gold for the top because it's got to be like stars, you know? Tiny suggestions. Perhaps don't use penny in the quotation for famine. It may imply that it's cheap to a modern listener. That's a fair point. That is a fair point. I'll check the quotation and see what we can do instead because, yeah, we definitely kind of want it to be expensive. Because if they think it's cheap, then that's not how famine works. Yeah, I'll look at that, Theta. Thanks. Alright, let's bust out some blue. This is, like, still bright, so we kind of want to make it a bit darker. Let's see. Bum 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 bum. Let's see. We might have to do some mixing for her today. Alright. I hate to mix, but sometimes it must be done. Alright, that's blue. More modern translations sometimes use a day's wages. Okay, that could work. That could work well. I was afraid it might do this. Black and white usually just changes the saturation, not necessarily darkness or lightness. But that's okay, we can use it. Okay. I'm gonna get so much paint on me, I already know. Let's see. That's a little bright. A little purple, I think. Oh, I need a little more than that. Ah! This is why I hate mixing, I swear to God. It's just not my jam. We'll use the red instead. It's still gonna be very primary, I think. Yeah, it's still pretty primary. Okay. Yeah, it's not bad. Let that dry. And we will use it for other little minis. Alright, let's see who needs what. Okay. Let's do... You look cool. We'll do it for you. one that fell. You hate yourself. For a minute. Oh my gosh. Sometimes my hair is like, but what if we were in the middle of all of it? cute. I like that color. It's a nice blue. Might do this, but... Oh yeah, we've never technically opened it, because I don't usually use... Let's see. Got any anime food you've ever wanted to eat? I'm a pretty picky eater. But like, I mean, if we're gonna go there, I would eat any and all the dishes that are made from all of the monsters in Delicious in Dungeon. Like, I probably wouldn't like any of them, but I will try everything. So, consider me Laios, but the version of Laios that doesn't like anything that's made. But I'll try it. I'll give it a shot. I think that food be fire. Get to eat monsters. I didn't know that there was a camp of people who thought that adventurers didn't eat the monsters. You know what I mean? I thought that was just a given. Because to me, adventuring in a fantasy world and killing the monsters and eating the monsters is the same as, like, being a hunter in real life and killing the deer and eating the deer. So, like, when that show came out, which I love, by the way, shout out to our man Damien Haas, we love him very much. But, like, when that show came out, I was like, you mean people don't think the adventurers eat the monsters? I was like, what do you mean? No, Rachel thinks eating monsters is normal. I mean, yeah. They're just like deer. I don't know. My family are hunters. Like, I don't see a difference between, okay, we killed the monster, we eat it, you know, skin it, use its fur, the skin for stuff, use its hooves for things. Goblin meat galore. Well, I guess because there's that debate in the anime too, is where the other members of the party are like nothing humanoid. Like, they're not allowed, they have forbid Laios from eating anything that's humanoid. So I guess I could see people thinking that way, where it's like the goblins and the, like, you know, I think in the show it's a mermaid or something, but like the goblins or anything that's humanoid like that, I could see people being like, yeah, no, they don't eat those, you know? So that makes sense. I don't know. Why? What's your anime food you want to eat, Rywek? What is it? Are you a Food Wars guy? Damn. Really irritating me. I just want a taste of Luffy's meat. I'm gonna assume that at some point in One Piece, Luffy gets actual food, and that you do not mean the young man's penis. But you know what assumptions do. Luffy eats nothing but meat on the bone. Oh. Interesting. Then yeah, I could see that being a delicacy. I mean, red meat is good. All right, you are not gonna find me sitting in the camp of like, I don't really eat much red meat. I don't know. I don't eat much meat in general. No. No. Red meat is good. Chicken is delicious. So, like, I love me some steak. Eat it up, bro. Yeah, eat it up. So I could see that being a delicacy. I can get behind that take. Are you a big One Piece fan? Or did that just come to your brain when you thought about anime foods? You love One Piece? Alright, I gotta ask then. Because I know my opinion. So I have not watched nor read the original One Piece. However, I would be curious. Probably watched the entire thing 4 times. It's real? That's actually not what I was gonna ask, ironically. I was gonna ask, how do you feel about the live action series on Netflix? That is my question, actually. Because again, I have not seen nor read the original One Piece. But you love it? Thank God, because I fucking loved the live action One Piece series on Netflix. Fucking loved it, dude. Thought it was so much fun. And like, the actors are so in it. I love that actor. I had seen him in one show, and I don't remember what it's called, but it was a good show. I had seen him in one show before he got that role. And I remember thinking, man, I really like this kid. I hope I see him in more stuff. And then I fucking got Luffy, and I was like, oh my God. I was so excited for him. I think it's perfect for people who want to get into the series without having to watch 1 to 1100 episodes of the anime. And that is exactly what I thought, too. Where I was like, you know, it has its, like, quirks and stuff, and I know, even though I haven't watched the original, that it's got its differences, but it seems to me to be faithful enough that people who have no interest in anime or anything would be down to watch it and enjoy it. And I think that's what you should be doing if you're going to turn something into a live action. I got my mom to watch it. She loves it. Exactly. Like, I'm pretty sure my sister watched it. And she hates anime. Hates the anime style. So it's good enough. Plenty of changes, but it won't matter to a non-One Piece anime watcher. Exactly, right? Even then, there's plenty of stuff not in the anime from the manga. That's true, right? The anime had to have gotten rid of stuff that the manga has. So that's what I think, too, is like, I think adaptations are fine as long as you are specifically, like, this is gonna sound weird, so weird. If you're going from, like, manga to anime, or, like, anime to live action, or video game to live action, whatever, you shouldn't be trying to be 1,000,000% faithful. Because then it's just gonna be shitty. You don't want to be 1,000,000% faithful, because if I wanted 1,000,000% faithful, I'd go watch the fucking original show. Like, I don't want your live action to be faithful. That's why every single Avatar: The Last Airbender live action is hot garbage. Yes, I include the Netflix one. Fuck you, Netflix. I've only read like 500 chapters from the manga. Anime is overextended and exaggerated mostly. Okay, but that's like the Dragon Ball effect, and that's what we want. Exactly, it's an interpretation of the story, hence the readaptation of the anime. I love the Avatar Netflix. We can agree to disagree. People also love Korra, and I hated Korra with a fervent passion. I am an original Avatar truther. There are very few of us left, but we do exist. And that's okay. I am glad that all generations have access to Avatar and can enjoy it. I will forever be the boomer stickler hypocrite who thinks that none of them will ever be good compared to the original Avatar. Or even not compared, frankly. I'm indifferent to Korra. Nothing against it, just meh. Yeah, so the thing is, like... Okay, so the thing is... we're gonna chat about this for a second. So to be fair to the folks who enjoy the Netflix one, like you, Rywek, I have not actually watched the Netflix one. Yeah, we are. So to be fair, I've not actually watched the Netflix one. So yes, I have no right to say that I hate it and it sucks. I disregard your opinion then, as you should. You should disregard my opinion. The reason why I have this opinion is because of a lot of things that they did. But I physically, like, have not been able to get myself to watch it because I start ranting. Like, the second it starts playing, I'm like, can't believe they did this type of energy. So what I need for it to be is to genuinely be like a commentary episode, because I know everybody's done commentary on the Netflix Avatar series, but mine is the correct one. So like, and oh my God, but I have shit to say. But that's a lot of time and energy and money for an editor that I don't have. So I haven't watched it. But the thing with Korra is it came out when I was its target demographic, and I still didn't like it. I was like a tween / teenager when Korra came out, and it was meant to be edgy and like teenager adulty and like all this kind of stuff, right? And I didn't have any issues with that. That is actually not the thing I dislike Korra for, because I was an edgy tween. So I was like, all right, cool, edgy bullshit, I like it. My issue is, as a neurodivergent person, I have not been diagnosed with anything, so I will not use the term special interest, but there are a few things that growing up were my thing. And they're still a huge instinctual part of me, hence the reason I can't get through even like a minute of the Netflix live action Avatar, because Avatar is still inside me, like, as a core tenet. Even if they're not as like big cores now, Avatar is one of them. Have you watched the YouTube channel Overanalyzing Avatar? I've not, because even people who like overanalyze it, I probably would not be able to listen to them, because I'd be like, but I might check it out. Trust me, it's good. Okay. I was really good. Okay, all right, I'm hearing you, and I'm taking it into consideration. The only Avatar I ever watched was when Korra, like, when I was in like the Tumblr era and Korra had finished. I don't watch this person anymore, but there was someone who made a like 4-hour long The Legend of Korra is hot garbage and here's why, and it's fantastic video. But anyways, so the thing is, Avatar, the original show, is one of my core like tenets. It's one of my core little beings inside of me, whatever you want to call it, core little part of myself, because I watched it when it was airing. And I know you're going, wait a second, Rachel, it aired in 2005. Yeah, I was watching Avatar when it aired as a 5-year-old. You can call me old if you want, but I was 5 years... Rywek is older, yeah. I was 5 years old when this show was airing, it was not meant for 5-year-olds. Okay, normal 5-year-olds were watching like PBS and Sesame Street. This show came out. Hey, Theta, let's go, let's go, let's go. And every Friday, not every Friday, because it wasn't like fully weekly, but every Friday, Fridays would be the new episodes. They would release new episodes. And it was daddy-daughter night. And me and my sister and my dad would sit down. It was probably at like 7 or something p.m. And we would watch on Nickelodeon the new 30-minute episode every single time. We never missed one. And we watched it from when I was literally first generation viewer. That's right, Theta. That's right. From when I was 5 years old when it came out to when I was, I think, 8 years old when it finished in 2008. It might have finished in 2007, but past July, which would make me 8, but same difference. Not me in college while Rachel was watching Avatar. Sorry, Rywick. Sorry to inform you. It's okay. I feel the same anytime someone pops on here and they're like, I'm 18. I'm like, bitch. But anyways, so it is a core part of me. Because it's been with me since I literally have memories. Since it's like some of my first things ever that I remember. And I was obsessed with it. It was the only thing. I had a birthday party when I turned like 12 to go see the fucking M. Night Shyamalan movie because no one knew it was going to be bad, and I was like 12 or 11 or whatever, and we wore Avatar t-shirts because I was Toph, and my sister was Katara, and my friend was Zuko, and my other friend was, like, it was like assigning each other characters, friend groups. I would, I had a Facebook page, which I assume has been deleted. I don't remember if I deleted it or not, but I had a Facebook page with thousands of followers under the name The Cabbage Man. You can go look it up if you want to, if it still exists. When I was a child, because of this show, I would practice the martial art that earthbending is based on, that Toph does, which is, something with an H. Something with an H. But it's not the praying mantis style, because Toph does a different style from the other earthbenders. She does something with an H. And so I would practice hers. Yeah, the awful Avatar, I know. Not my cabbages! Exactly. Hi, Alex. I hope you're doing well, my friend. We're talking about Korra and Avatar and all that jazz. So I cosplayed as her. I dressed up as her for my birthday for Halloween when I was a kid. Like, I had an Avatar cake, like Avatar themed things. I would draw artwork. I would make, it was a big Hungar. Thank you, Theta. I was thinking it was Hung something. Hungar. Like, I would practice her style from the scrolls because there wasn't much when it came out. And I'm like fucking 8 years old. I'm not on a goddamn computer. So the little bits and pieces I could get was like they would have a scroll. Like how they had the waterbending scrolls. You could find a picture of the earthbending scroll and I'd practice it. Because I did karate once. And so I was like, I gotta do this. Your D&D session just finished. Oh, that's awesome, Alex. Tell me how it went. But like Avatar was a huge piece of me. And when the Shyamalan Bad movie came out, there was even a period where I was like, wow, that was so cool. Because I was like fucking 11 or 12. And I wasn't on the internet. And I was like, oh my god, something Avatar. Right? And then as I started to sit with it, I went, uh-oh, that's bad. That was a bad movie and I don't like it. And Korra came out when I was a tween and a teenager. And I was the edgy teenager. And I was like, uh-oh. I'm glad there's more Avatar, but I'm really just here for the cameos. And I was waiting for like Toph to show up. And those were the episodes I liked. And it wasn't I didn't like it when it was coming out. And for me to not like it when it's coming out, oof. And the issues that I have with Korra, again, are not the edgy stuff, because I am and always will be an edgy little bitch. My issues are that it retconned and completely changed and made horrible choices dealing with the lore of Avatar. Same quest as the last two sessions, just at level 3. Let's go, Alex. So not the slim little companion books. No, not the little companion books. I didn't have any of those. I had all the DVDs because we would play them in car rides. We had those little DVD players that you strap to the back of the headrest of the passenger seat and the driver's seat so your kids can watch videos. We would watch Avatar whole time. I had all of them. We'd watch Avatar, and then if my sister got to pick, we'd watch like Air Buddies or or Miracle Dogs. God, I fucking despise that movie. We had to watch it so much. I did like the Tiger Brothers movies though. The Tiger Brother movies was good. But yeah, we'd watch it all the time. But no, I didn't have any of the books or stuff. We didn't even know there were books. Like there weren't action figures or anything. Like I didn't need them. All because Nickelodeon would re-air the cartoon episodes over and over and over and over, because I think people nowadays don't realize that Avatar did well. Like, it got 60 something episodes. It did well when it aired. It was not famous or popular, but it did well. And so they would just keep rerunning episodes, but I didn't know that, like, toys and stuff existed because I didn't need them. My brain was just like, Avatar. So that kind of stuff. I was also in denial. I feel that, Theta. I feel that. You have to think it's good. I have 2 gripes with the Shyamalan movie. The firebenders have to bend existing fire, which removes their advantage. That's correct, Alex. That part was disgusting. And earthbenders had to do giant routines as a group to move a smallish sized rock. Also disgusting. The two. Why did they suck? Why did those 2 things suck? Because it changed the lore of the original Avatar. And I think, again, people can like Korra, people can like what they want, but I think Korra and the new Avatar series that is being made, animated series, not the Netflix one, gets a bit of a pass from some people because Brian and Mike made it. Brian and Mike and Aaron Ehasz, the writer, and a lot of other people created a miracle in Avatar. It's not just Brian and Mike. And I think that's evident in Korra because Korra retcons a lot of their own fucking lore and it's annoying as fuck. And Korra's not good. So people kind of give the pass the second Brian and Mike are a part of it. And I'm like, honey, just because they're a part of it doesn't mean it does well. I mean, they fucked up Korra. Like, what? Hey, what's up, Kimberly? How are you, my friend? We're talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra, etc. How have you been? What have you been up to? It was really under merchandised because they thought boys wouldn't buy toys of girls. Yeah, Theta, 100%. 100% Theta. It was a weird age range for toys. Because again, it wasn't supposed to be us 5-year-olds watching the show. It was supposed to be like, it was a weird mix between like 8 to 10 to 12, and I don't think they knew how to market it that much. I started Rachel on a rant. Regrets? None. Yeah, there better be none, because this is all I'm going to talk about now. It's because you picked one of my cores. Like, there are 3 cores that you can pick that will make me talk for years. Avatar, Zelda, and Yu-Gi-Oh! And you picked one of them, okay? You started it! Fuck you, okay? You're the, alright, you said I was talking about live action One Piece. Live action One Piece is good, okay? You're the one who said you liked Netflix Avatar. Fight me. If you think about it, earthbenders can technically end the careers of any other bender, as they could technically crush the leg of the enemy bender, preventing their footwork. Well, Alex, that's the argument of airbenders can just remove all the oxygen from your body. and suffocate you immediately. Yes, technically these things could occur, but they're not easy to do, unlike what Korra seems to make people think, because Korra shouldn't be canon, because fuck Korra. Ugh. Yes, Kimberly, hello, hi. I asked anime food. No one mentioned Avatar. You said you wanted to eat. You mentioned anime food. I brought up Delicious in Dungeon. I asked what you wanted to eat. You said Luffy's meat from One Piece. I asked if the One Piece live action was good. You said yes, and I said I'm glad because other live actions aren't adapting well because they should be doing this. And I mentioned the Avatar Netflix one as an example, and then you said you liked it, and now here we are. All right, so it is your fault. I am the god. Thank you very much. I'm the god of the Brave New World. Stated minimum age was 7, I think. Yeah, Theta, I think you're correct. I said One Piece, you moved on to the live action One Piece, then Netflix, and then your obsession. Ryrock, you were taking out so much of your agency. Fuck off, bro. You were taking out so much of your agency. Don't even come at me, man. Don't even come at me. Goddess still promotes hydration, though. Fuck you. You suck. Breathbending. Gyatso might have done it. Yeah, Theta, it's... Alright, let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. See, just like the fists on my titties from Yugi Moto, that is what we're going to do right now. So, here's the thing. Korra did a couple of things that are bad. One, let anybody energy bend. No, bitch. Only the Avatar can energy bend. Your little Amon or whatever the fuck he was using blood bending to block chakras and therefore taking away access to somebody's bending ability. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Blood bending cannot affect chakras. Why? Because if you actually do your fucking research, your chakra path is separate from your blood. You're saying that they're connected. They're not connected. Your blood, the veins and stuff that your blood is on, the veins and stuff that your lymph things is on, the fluid for you have 3 fluids in your body. You have lymphs, you have blood. Fuck, there's another one. There's another vein pathway you have in your body, but you got 3 of them, right? None of these, are intertwined with your chakras. Like, go look at the fucking religion. Bloodbending bullshit affects your body, not your spiritual self. No. Because you have to leave spirit shit. Anything that attaches you to an element or deals with your chakras or deals with your spirits and stuff, you have to leave that to the Avatar. The second you take it from them, the Avatar's useless. They can bend all 4 elements. If a Mon can do blood bending to block your access to a chakra, and that chakra allows you to bend an element, then why can't anybody open any chakra to let them bend any element they want? You've created a problem now. Because that is following logic that you've established. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's dumb and I hate it. Oh no, I'm saying that from the perspective of the first appearance of Toph, as she could shift the earth without any obvious movements. Oh, I got you. Granted, she was taught by the earthbending moles, but still, yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I guess she does still technically do movements, but blood for the blood god, literally. Amon basically used a discount 64 trigram palms. Literally, motherfucker drove me insane, bro. Would the answer be different if the term chi is substituted for chakra? No, because chi is its own pathway. So here's the thing, right? If you fuck up your chi or you block your chi, can it have physical effects on you? Yes, absolutely, right? You can argue the whole Aang thing. Chi chakra, right? When he couldn't get through them, he couldn't get back into the Avatar state because he had locked it or whatever, right? It's blocking his mental access to that connection. Yes, They can affect each other, sure. I'm not saying, but like, the issue is, if blood bending, the ability to manipulate the physical blood in a person's body, can block something spiritual that is intangible, because chi and chakra is not tangible. Just because they exist and just because they're real doesn't mean you can touch them. Doesn't mean they're physical. Blood is physical. If something like, okay, let's say there's a thing that goes through here and there's a chakra here that I need to unlock and it's dealing with my arm, right? If I do this, this should do nothing to the chakra, because there's not a tangible line here that determines my chakra. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's my issue. Is if you can manipulate the physical blood and somehow go, oop, I'm putting a blockage here, so now the chakra from here can't reach the chakra to here, or the chi can't reach each other because there's a physical, like, blood clot here. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. And if you want to argue that it is possible, you shouldn't. If you're saying, well, okay, maybe there's a way we can make it make sense, don't make it make sense, because it fucks up with your world. Because when you give somebody else the ability to mess with the spiritual chakra and chi like that, like someone else's spiritual whatever, you are giving them the power of the avatar. The thing that makes the avatar strong is the fact that he can access all of his shit and bend all the elements. That's the point. Like, and to think Korra doomed the planet by making a decision that could have been easily stopped by asking any past avatar about the spirit world and the purpose of the avatar to act as the guardian of the material of the spirit. Literally, Alex, she straight up is like, let me disconnect myself from all my past lives instead of calling and talking to them like Aang did. Bro, what? What? You think you're a fucking god? Get out of here. How would you respond to the claim that Amon's use of bloodbending accomplishes the same thing as Ty Lee's pressure point nonsense? Oh, Ty Lee. In my view, people don't necessarily agree with this. In my view, from what I understood of what Ty Lee was doing, was that she was doing it literally physically. So the pressure point wasn't stopping their, like, access to bending, so to speak. Like, it wasn't stopping their energy. It was literally, like, stopping the physical control. So, like, if she's hitting here, then this is a point that is stopping the physical control they have over, like, their arms and their hands. Hence why she would hit it and they would go like this, because they've lost control over it. To me, that's what she was doing. It had nothing to do with, like, the connection, because once the point came back and they could, it was like if you sit on your hands and they go numb, you get pins and needles and you pull them out and you're like, I can't move them until you can move them again. To me, that's what she was doing. Not everyone agrees with that. But I, from what I remember, don't recall them ever saying that she was specifically doing, like, a energy thing, a chi or a chakra thing. From what I understand, they never said that in the original. So to me, it was always a literal physical thing that she was doing to the body, where she was essentially making all your things go numb, and you couldn't bend because they were numb. Because bending, again, another thing that Korra took out, for the average bender, you need very precise movements in order to get your bending correct. Katara had to she did the movement for the water bending in the very beginning, and it went behind her and froze Sokka. Your movements have to be very specific, unless you're a master, like, Boomy, right? Where he can use his face to do stuff. If you are an average bender, you need very specific movements. So by Ty Lee numbing an area, you've lost the movement needed to be able to do it. That's how I took Ty Lee. Ty Lee was basically striking the joints and nerves to limp the limb to prevent the control of energy through movement. Yeah, like, to me it was a physical thing. It was not blocking the energy chain. Stopping someone from being able to bending through blood bending, to me, was blocking the energy chain, because they still had use of their entire body. If it was, oh, I've stopped, like, blood flow or whatever, so it's, like, minimal to your hands, and they were like, my hands don't work like they used to before, then there's an argument for him. But that's not what it did. Granted, it does have a paralyzing effect. However, the term chi blocking is used in the show. Yeah, see, that's the thing, is they do call it chi blocking, which is why a lot of people were like, maybe she is blocking, like, an energy path. Which, clearly Mike and Brian do think that's what's happening, because Amon could do it with blood bending, right? So I guess that's canon. I guess it's canon. I don't like it, and I don't agree with it, but I guess it's canon that you can block chi by fucking, like, beep, beep, beep. Like, it annoys the shit out of me. Again, Ty Lee's is better because you can argue a physical form of it, because she's blocking chi by, like, getting rid of the whatevers. But ain't I a stinker? I mean, Theta, you're just stating what they call it. I have full belief that that is what Mike and Brian intended. That is why I said earlier that just because their names are on it and they're a part of it doesn't make it some fantastic thing. And to be fair, chi points is often a term used in acupuncture, which has a lot to do with the nerve manipulation. There's that argument too, right? Is like Ty Lee is meant to be more of like acupuncture style, where it's very much like fucking with your nerves. Fucking with your blood is it's a different thing. You know what I mean? I don't know. Bending movements is less like hand signs in Naruto, and is like hand signs in Naruto. More you master your field, the less actions you need to get the result. Yeah, it's pretty similar. And that, like, there are a lot of questions that come from the original Avatar. Things like Ty Lee's stuff that I think are interesting and actually fine. Like, I have no issue with what Ty Lee does if there wasn't further canonization past Avatar. Because Korra fucks with it. When you bring in a guy who can do what Ty Lee did, but somehow he does it with blood bending, you're adding in so much bullshit that was not there. Why wasn't the guy just like Ty Lee was, but he figured out how to make the effects last longer than Ty Lee could? Because now there has to be a difference. Now that you've done this in Korra, where Amon's stopping the use of using your bending by blocking chi with blood bending, you now need to explain to me why Ty Lee has the term chi blocking, even though, again, she's doing something different. And if chi is connected to your bending, let's put this out here. If chi is connected to your bending, how come Amon's stops them from being able to bend, but Ty Lee's does not? Because if you remember, They don't stop being able to bend. That's just what they say when Ty Lee fucks with them. But in the scenes, when Ty Lee shows up and does her pokey pokey, and Katara goes to, like, pull the water up, the water still goes, and wobbles a little bit outside of the lake. It's not just like nothing comes up. So she doesn't stop their connection. It's specifically a nerve thing. So, and stopping the body, the physical. So if we're calling that chi blocking, then what the fuck is Amon doing? It doesn't make any sense. Is it just they didn't know what it was, so they called it chi blocking? Okay, rationalize it to me. Okay, rationalize what Amon's doing now. This is my issue. It's the same issue that, like, when an author keeps writing and keeps writing and keeps writing without a plan, and I'm like, stop it. It's the midichlorian effect, okay? We were fine having the questions up in the air and not having the answers, and you just had to answer us with the midichlorians. Alright? Like, I'd understand if he's temporarily disabling it via hitting those points with internal blood, but no, it's permanent. And Alex, here's the thing. Even that would have been a better argument. To say that Amon is doing what Ty Lee was doing, it's just that it's harder to get rid of or last longer because it's essentially a blood clot, right? And those are fucking deadly and really hard to figure out. But like you said, and it's not technically permanent because once people realize their chi is blocked, they could get their bending back. So I don't know. So arguably his shit is temporary, but he's still physically manipulating the body the same way Ty Lee was. So the fact that his has to have like a spiritual answer or some bullshit instead of a physical answer doesn't make any sense because he's doing a physical thing. I didn't like it. Offering an excessively rationalistic explanation of what was previously a mystical phenomenon. Exactly, Theta. Exactly. It's like, stop doing this. Don't answer. If you're gonna don't even get me started, because this is what Korra does, is it keeps giving answers that fuck with all of the things that happened in the original, and that's why it pissed me off. Another thing it did, the goddamn fucking airbenders can magically exist because it's connected to the spirit world or some fucking bullshit. No. Go fuck yourself. Airbenders are not made by spiritual mumbo jumbo. Airbenders are not even all spiritual. There were specific monks like Gyatso who were spiritual. Like, not every fucking airbender could be like, yes, let me talk to all the spirit world and all this. And previously, only two, count them, two. Even if you were a hella spiritual airbender, only two people had ever, to Avatar World knowledge, the original show, been able to see or hear or have any contact, let alone get inside the spirit world. Who are they? The Avatar and Iroh. That's it. Iroh could have fucked with the spirit world, and none of the fucking spiritual monks from airbending could do it. They fucked with those answers a lot, and that pissed me off. By the way, would you like to know the one combat that my group had that took up like 90% of the session? Sure, tell me about your combat, Alex. Go for it. I'm gonna be ranting anyway, so it's fine. Go for it. But like, opening up the spirit world to all the people like it's a fucking portal that you can step through. They're not planes. You can't make a portal to the other dimension, bro. Like, the spirit world is existing in the exact same plane that the regular people are existing in. We know that from the Heibai episode. Because Heibai was fucking with all of the stuff there, and nobody could see him. But the damage was real. And when Aang goes into the spirit world in that crossover moment, Aang is still there in that exact moment, living with them. They just can't sense him. So what the fuck do you mean you can open a portal to a separate spirit world? There is no separate spirit world. They're living in the exact same shit you're living in. Like, what do you mean? God damn. Would you affirm that airbenders were generally a more spiritual culture than the other nations? Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. But not every airbender was an air nomad. And arguably, not every air nomad was an airbender. All the ones we saw in the flashbacks could airbend. But arguably, there's no proof that all of the monks can't. Like, you know what I'm saying? Would they... Airbending is tied to the most spiritual form. Yes, 100%. But, like, we had Monkey Atzo, who was a monk and could connect with the chakras and connect with the chi and was not a bender. In any way, shape, or form. So, like, are they connected? Yes. I don't think... could Spirit World be connected to the spiritualness of Airbender? Sure. Again, Iroh had connections with it somehow, and we never learned how. Even in Korra, we've never learned how, right? So it's entirely possible that they could have. But spirituality doesn't unlock airbending. Because if it did, why the fuck couldn't Iroh airbend? Like, you know what I mean? It's just, that's not how this works. That's not how this works. I could see, I guess you could have the argument of someone doesn't bend any element and is very spiritual and unlocks a connection to airbending through how spiritual of a person they are. Like, they're not just born airbending. But the issue with that is you could argue they're still born an airbender. They just needed the spiritual training to unlock it. You know what I'm saying? There's spirits like the face stealer. There's no only good or only bad spirits. They're all swayable gray. 100%. 100% Alex. There is no good or bad. The fucking Rava and Vatu bullshit, like we're goddamn Christianity. Why the fuck are you bringing in Western religion to a show that has wholly excluded it? Fuck off. Rava and Vatu bullshit. 5 goblins, 2 extra hidden goblins, an Ankeg, we love an Ankeg, a human wizard who was a cultist, rethink, and 3 skeletons. Ooh, Alex, I like that. Was it hard or did you guys feel okay with the combat? I wonder how old the idea that there are no non-benders among the air nomads is. Well, that's the thing, right? Is there's an entire episode when they meet Tao in the wheelchair of Aang learning to accept that it is okay to rebuild the culture from people who aren't airbenders, didn't live it, weren't a part of it, don't necessarily know the tenets and traditions, but they're willing to learn and they respect it. We had a whole fucking Avatar episode of that. At the end of the episode is Aang essentially being like, yeah, you know what? You guys are airbenders. Like, or you are air nomads, excuse me. Like, I think people forget that, like, it's Water Tribe, Earth Kingdom, Fire Nation, Air Nomads. you can be an air nomad and not airbend. Like, the same way you can be a part of the water tribes and not waterbend. There's a lot of Earth Kingdom refugees that cannot earthbend. There's a lot of Fire Nation people that cannot firebend. And to extra on top of that, it's entirely possible a lot of those Earth Kingdom refugees could be airbenders. Could be, well, obviously not, because airbenders were like incestual in a way. Sorry, airbenders, but you were. But they could be like waterbenders. And they don't know any of the movements. They don't know the scrolls. They don't have a teacher. They don't, they're not connected to the water. They don't have koi fish that are secretly the moon to teach them. You know what I mean? So that's one of those things too. It's like, except for the air gnome, I could justify Korra being like, hey, there might be like but see, then you have the problem of all the airbenders were wiped off the face of the fucking earth. If, as much as I don't like it, technically there could have been an argument for Korra for saying there may have been airbenders just like you, Aang, who escaped and continued for generations to have babies and have childrens and assimilated into the Earth Kingdom refugees, assimilated into, probably not the Fire Nation, but assimilated into wherever and kept having kids, and there's generations, right? You could make that argument that maybe there were some who escaped just like you did. And thus, there could be people who are born as airbenders. They just don't have any spiritual knowledge. I'm ranting. They don't have any spiritual knowledge. They don't have any spiritual training. They don't even think airbending's possible. And so they've never accessed it. They've never unlocked it. And then you could have a moment in Korra where she, fuck all the spirit world opening nonsense, I hate that, but she realizes that, hey, what if this is possible? Tenzin, go on your journey to find other airbenders, or by helping them with their spiritual journey and seeing if there are any non-benders who are actually airbenders. Bam. Now you have a somewhat technically possible, logical way to bring airbenders back, if that's really what you want to do, without fucking with how benders get their powers, without fucking with the fact that the Avatar can use all of the elements, without fucking with the spiritual world and that shit. Like, there are ways to do it that don't fuck over every little thing you've already established. What do you think of the theory that Ty Lee is a descendant of such surviving air nomads? Sure, why the fuck not? Like, again, regardless of whether it's cool or we don't like, or whether we like it or dislike it, it's a possibility that wouldn't mess with your established lore. I wouldn't have any issue with it if Ty Lee was a descendant. And her sisters and her family and all of her kids would never know. Especially living under the Fire Nation, they would never be airbenders in their lifetime. They would never unlock it. They would never know. And hundreds upon hundreds of years later, in Korra's time, when there's branches of the Ty Lee family all across the world, bam. Now you've got airbenders that can unlock access to their airbending by Tenzin and his family teaching them spirituality. Like, it would have been better than, I unlocked the spirit world and now magical people are becoming airbenders. Crazy! And the argument is, well, isn't that the same thing? Where maybe those people were airbenders all along and this opening the spirit world gave them access to it? First of all, you shouldn't be opening a spirit world, so there's the problem there. But secondly, the issue is they are not spiritual. All you did was put spirits in the real people world. putting random ass spirits in the real people world shouldn't unlock a switch you didn't even know was there. You have to do the work. You have to do it. Like, my God. The rest of the identical septuplets, literally, like, why not? Why not? Sure, Ty Lee and their family were airbenders. Why the fuck not? They knew the chi stuff. I think it's more likely that they're connected to, like, wherever Monkey Atso learned all of it. Because, again, he's not a bender, but he knew all of the chakras and such. I don't see why Ty Lee and all of them wouldn't know. So, why not? I don't know. Korra just irritates me with how much it messes with the lore and established shit, and it felt like it was unwilling for anybody significant to be a non-bender. Like, everybody had to be cool and amazing and powerful and unique. I'm like, what do you think Sokka is? Sokka is literally one of the most favorite characters. Like, I genuinely think that you could poll every single Avatar fan just for the original series, and I think Sokka would end up, like, in the top 3 of people's favorite character. And he doesn't bend. Ever. Not once. Oh, well, he gets a cool sword, and he does that stuff, and he learns to become a leader. Yeah, that's really cool. And that's why part of why we like him. Because he matures and he grows. He doesn't magically become a fucking airbender. Like, just made me upset. No, Guru Patik, who's a close friend of Gyatso, was a highly spiritual non-bender. Exactly what I'm saying. Like, where did all the monks, gurus, like Guru Patik go? Where did all of his people in his line go? Why aren't they working with Tenzin to make people more spiritual across the planet? You know what I mean? Like, Toph invents a whole ass metal bending school, so now everybody and their mother can do metal bending, but we're not spreading spirituality anywhere? The air nomads die out, and so does spirituality? Were they the only ones doing it? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. I wouldn't be surprised if he was celibate. Sure, but, like, it's not just him. You know what I'm saying? There's no way it was just him out here with the fucking banana whatever juice. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. There's just so many options. What about the fucking lion turtles, bro? Like, why did we disregard them? Why did we disregard them? It's just... Bending is not tied to spirituality, which I think... can it be? Sure, if that's the route you want to take, again, that's the route they took with airbending, that's fine. But you can be spiritual and not have bending capabilities, which indicates that you are born with the ability to access a certain type of bending, which is what the original Avatar was. If you don't like that, sucks to be you. You shouldn't have made it part of the original plot, baby. But like, spirituality cannot give you the ability to bend. In fact, when Aang is in the spirit world, you can't bend anymore. Like, just irritates the shit out of me that it had any connection whatsoever. Swear to God. Indeed, Aang recognized the word guru. Exactly. Like, so clearly it's used in at least air nomad language, if not conventional language. He knows the word guru. So where's the rest of Guru Patik's people? there's just so many options, and there's so many options they fully neglected because, again, the original Avatar said that folks learned bending from the animals. Firebending is the dragons, earthbendings are the moles, the badger moles, waterbending, arguably the ocean, so okay. But technically, if we're gonna go animal spiritual, but see, now now the argument is, well, if they learned from the animals, technically the koi fish were spirits, so didn't they learn how to bend from spirits? God, now that's the argument. And airbending was like the buffalo, the air bison. So, because you can't tell me, I swear to God, if anybody tries to argue that badger moles and air bison are spiritual, just because Twee and Law were like connected to the moon and the ocean does not mean that random ass air bison are all spirits and random ass fucking badger moles are all spirits. That's not how this works. It can't be how this works. And if people learned bending from those animals, then they didn't. See, now you've got another problem. Did people learn bending from the animals, or were they born with it? Can Sokka learn any bending he wants if he goes and he studies with one of those animals? Or do you have to be born with it, and you are just learning how to harness it through the animals? These are questions that we could have had nice and open-ended and thought process and thinking about if fucking Korra didn't go, it's all spirits that give you bullshit. The implication that I drew from people not being able to bend in the spirit world was that because they were separated from their bodies, which are an integral part of bending. Okay, that could very well be the case. If we go that route, then the physical connection you have to the earth and its elements matters. Which, once again, we go back to Korra. Spirituality cannot be what gives you bending ability. And we go back to Amon. Like, they tried to give reason and logic to how bending worked, and therefore fucked up anything that was a discussion inside of the original Avatar. Because if Amon can stop you by blocking, like, your energy pathways, the same way Ty Lee can, but Ty Lee's fucking up your physical. That's why Ty Lee works, is because Ty Lee is fucking up your physical body's capability to connect. If Amon is only fucking up your spiritual connection, then that implies that that's the only thing that matters. Otherwise, you would get a Ty Lee effect where you would do the position and you'd get a tiny bit of like rumble in the ground, but nothing would come up. Or a little bit of a water spurt, but nothing would actually form. Like, God, they just didn't know what they were doing. They hit gold with Avatar. And they thought they were geniuses who knew their world inside and out. And ego is the death of a creative. It is the death of the art. And I think it was the death long ago in Korra, even if people disagree with me. And that's okay. You don't have to agree with me, it's okay. But that's just kind of, that's just kind of the way I see it. Yeah. And that's not even considering how they represent disability in Korra. Like, Korra dealing with her, like, paralyzation is a complete joke representation of disability and what people have to go through, which is crazy for a show that literally had one of its main characters beautifully represented and be fully disabled. Like, there are arguments, I've seen arguments that Toph does have the, oh, I'm disabled, but a magical ability makes it so I'm perfectly normal, which is not something you should do in disability representation. But the counter argument against that is it's shown countless times in Avatar that her disability still affects her. Like, it's not just solved because she can magically see through her feet. She can't put up the posters, right? That episode has it. The episode where they're writing notes back and forth because Katara and Toph are angry has it. Anytime they're on Appa, Toph can't see anything that's happening. The entire sand arc where Appa gets stolen is a beautiful representation of the fact that she is a human who has a disability and has to deal with that and, like, live her everyday life. She gets coddled at the beginning because of her disability. Like, and I think a lot of people forget that there are other folks involved with making the original Avatar a masterpiece. Because I do believe that the original cartoon is a masterpiece. I genuinely do think that. I think we're gonna run into a similar problem. Exactly, Theta. Exactly. Like, we can quote it. But people forget that, like, Aaron Ehasz is an incredible writer and was the head writer for that show, who made a lot of magic. They forget that there were different directors that I think shows in some episodes. But there were different directors for some of the heavy episodes versus the fun filler episodes, right? There was cultural, not like consultants, but they talked with people who did the martial arts. They researched other cultures. Like, they didn't just Google things, you know? And there's real thought and patience and art and beauty inside of it, that is considered. And it is a masterpiece of art, of creation, of animation, of storytelling, you know, of so many things. But a masterpiece like that is made with thousands of hands. It is not able to be reproduced because the two guys whose names on the title are making more series. S.L. Lee, the professor they hired to do the calligraphy for another. Exactly, the musicians let's talk about the musicians who made the iconic music to where those musicians literally have gone on tour doing just Avatar music. No words, no lyrics, just Avatar music, full ass tours around the country. Like, so many people made that what it is. It will not be reproduced as they continue to make more. That doesn't mean they can't. It doesn't mean they shouldn't. It just means that sometimes, a lot of the time, the next things that are created are going to suck balls. And some of us aren't going to consider products made like Korra as canon. Just how it goes. And I would even say, like, I'm not against all creations into pieces of it. I read the comics. I haven't read the ones that focus on Katara, but I read the other ones. I read The Promise, I read The Search, I read I think it's like Smoke and Shadow or something like that. The ones that follow Toph, like, I read them and I thought they were enjoyable. There are bits I didn't like. There are bits I did like. But like, I like them. They're fun. I would love to read the one that follows Katara because Katara is fucking awesome. And there are actually parts of the comics that I think are at the level of Avatar. Parts of them. The one that I point out to people, and it is a little bit because I'm a Toph fanatic, but there's a section in the one that follows Toph, where it delves into Toph and Aang's friendship, where Aang is visited by like the angry spirit of the island that like Toph's dad works on or some bullshit. And the spirit is like, we will kill everybody on this island because like we don't like what they're doing and it needs to go back to nature and humans are bad. And Aang is like, well, will you spare them if I remove like Toph's dad's business or whatever the fuck it is? And the spirit reluctantly agrees, but the spirit is like, if they're still here come morning, I'm gonna slaughter the whole island type of energy, because it's an angry ass spirit and it is not playing games and it hates humanity. And so Aang goes to fucking Toph and he's like, hey, we have to remove you guys off this island. We have to stop it, like, or the spirit's gonna come and kill everyone. And Toph, being herself, is like, fuck you, let them try. I can take any spirit. Let her fucking try. What, she doesn't like people? We came on this land. We built a new thing. We are thriving. Absolutely fucking not. We're not leaving. I don't give a shit. And Aang is like, I am the Avatar. I'm telling you to move. I'm telling you to leave. I am no longer asking. And Toph literally goes, make me. And Aang goes into the fucking Avatar state and fights her in the Avatar state. And Toph kicks his fucking ass in the goddamn Avatar state. Because she fucking would. Alright? And so, now they don't finish the fight because the evil spirit shows up and they team up and fight the spirit. But like, that is a gorgeous moment that I think rivals the show, because that is exactly what those two fuckers would do if it happened in the Avatar cartoon. Toph would never back down. Toph would absolutely kick his ass, not fully kick his ass, but like, Aang doesn't want to kill her, so he doesn't want to kill anyone. But Toph would do quite a fucking number on Aang in the Avatar state. At the very least, she would not back down. And Aang would also fight her, because they are like, they butt heads constantly. He's like, yo, you are so fucking stubborn. He would absolutely fight her. And so I was sitting there reading this and I was like, this is fantastic. Whoever wrote this understood the relationships in Avatar. 100,000,000% understood the relationships in Avatar. This person knows exactly how these dynamics work, because that is 1,000,000% what would have happened. I remember there are other moments too, but like I enjoyed the them taking Azula and going to find his mother. That's one of the ones I didn't like very much. Was the whole logic and reasoning they gave behind Zuko's mommy running away. I was like, ooh, I don't like this one. But again, they can't all be bangers, you know. Some of them we wipe from canon. For those playing at home, Toph fought to a draw at least 1,000 of history's greatest benders. Literally, like, there's a comic where she fights Boomy, and they don't finish the fight, and neither of them will say who was close to winning, but like, they cheekily don't finish the fight. Like, Toph, here's the thing, and there are metal bending comics where she opens up a school and she teaches new kids metal bending. I'm like, all right, whatever, it's fine. I don't have an issue with metal bending being taught the same way I don't necessarily have an issue with blood bending and stuff being taught. It's not, like, I don't like the mentality of, like, well, now it's not special anymore because everybody can do it. That's not necessarily the way I feel. I do think it shouldn't be easy for everybody and their mother to do. For clarification, that's what the Avatar state is. Literally, the 1,000 history's greatest benders are the 1,000 past lives of Aang getting their ass beat by a 12-year-old blind girl. 100% is them going, Aang, Aang, Aang. Oh my god, it's so funny. I'll have to find that page. If I can find my comic, I'll bust that page out. Because that page is so funny, yo. That page is so funny. But yeah, it's a good fight. But like, yeah, you know, the metal bending school one is meh. It's blasé, it's whatever. It's kind of boring, it's a little annoying, but it's fine. I don't remember at all what I was talking about. It's one of those things where, like, there are bits and pieces that are beautiful and fantastic, and there are bits and pieces that I'm like, alright, whatever, we'll go for it. Yeah, I don't know. Also, like, who taught bloodbending after Hama? Who kept that going? I guess other cultures and areas could have developed it on their own and figured out it exists. Yeah, okay, that's plausible. But like, interesting that it still has the same name. Interesting that it's still used the same way. I don't know, man. It's just like, cause Hama would have died. Like, Hama was fucking dead. That bitch didn't teach nobody how to bloodbend after that. Maybe she did when she was young and she escaped. I guess she is an old lady. So maybe she taught people, but it seemed more like she was just interested in killing a bunch of people and sacrificing children and shit, but I don't know. I do not know. And then the whole lightning bending thing. Here's the thing, right? Like, lightning bending is so interesting to me because everybody can talk about, like, airbending being the most mystical one or whatever. I think the hardest one to pin down is firebending. Because in waterbending, the argument that is pretty solid is that actually in all the other bendings, there's a solid argument for that you are bending a specific element. Like in water, you're literally manipulating the H2O. The two hydrogen, one oxygen. In earthbending, because Toph can metal bend, you are manipulating iron. The element of iron. That's what earthbending is. In, airbending, you're manipulating oxygen itself. What element are you manipulating in fire? Because if it's the oxygen, you're an airbender, aren't you? So it can't be the oxygen. So what element are you manipulating in the fire? And how does that element transfer to lightning? Like, what's the element that these two have in common that is being bended? I don't know. That's what's curious to me. Because also, Combustion Man is a firebender. They have, like, confirmed that in something. I don't know if they confirm it in the show. But, like, if Combustion Man's a firebender, what is the element he's manipulating to start the fire? Like, I guess it would work the same way as firebending. Like, I'm just so curious. Are they manipulating heat? Because heat is not an element. I don't think. I'm not a chemistry or science person, but I don't think heat itself is an element. Isn't it like an energy or a waveform? So come they can manipulate something that none of the other three can manipulate? Because the other three are manipulating an element on the periodic table. Like, you know what I'm saying? I believe Hama at least claims not to have met another waterbender between her escape and encountering Katara. Okay. Alright. So maybe she taught somebody when she was old as fuck, or maybe another group and culture developed it. That's entirely possible. It is entirely possible for other people to develop it. I don't know, man. There's just so many, like, Like, Iroh's so interesting because, see, and it's one of those things where there has to be, this is why I am in the camp of, you have to be, like, instinctually, naturally connected to a specific element. Because Iroh goes and learns from waterbenders. He studies them. But he can't waterbend. So it can't just, like, the techniques have to be, the movements have to be a way to channel it, to harness it. The same way a wand is in traditional magic. It's not the wand that lets you use magic, that lets you, like, manipulate the magic. You have something instinctually in you that can manipulate it. The wand is just the way you channel it. So, like, if that's the case, then, like, I guess Iroh could figure out how to lightning bend. But, okay, wait, no. There might be an argument to be made that unlike Korra, well, maybe it is in Korra, I don't remember entirely, but in Avatar, they don't lightning... No, Azula does. Azula does lightning bend. Because I was going to say, Iroh and Zuko, I don't know that they lightning bend so much as they, like, are a conductor for electricity. Because when they do, like, this stuff, it's going through them. That's why Iroh's like, you can't let it pass through your heart because it's channeling through you. But Azula specifically does literally, like, snap up lightning and send that shit out. So there has to be a way to, like, actually lightning bend, I guess? I don't know. See, this is where we get into the interesting discussions. I don't know. I am definitely going to end up ending this early, like ending this here, because we have talked for so long and I've loved every second of it. I'm not going to waste the 8 minutes painting. I guess it wouldn't be a waste, but like, nah, man. I'll see if there's anyone we can raid. Let's see. Correct. Iroh and Zuko redirect lightning. Azula produces it. Okay, see? Then that's the question. What? And Azula has blue fire, so that's indicating that her fire is hotter. That's what the argument is. So, why? Like, that's the... Firebending is the interesting out-of-the-box element that gets left in the dark by all this new Avatar shit. Even in Korra, they don't go into it at all. They don't research into it. They don't explain it. They're so hung up on airbending and spirits. I'm like, bro, firebending is the one I want answers for. What element are they manipulating? Or are they manipulating heat? Are they manipulating, like, sparks? Like, what is it? Why is Azula's hotter? Is she just a naturally, like, her body temperature's hotter? Like, these are questions that I'm like, why can she create the lightning? What element is it? That's, like, and it's interacting with oxygen. So arguably, if you removed oxygen, like, that's why Azula can't do anything, like, in the ice, in theory. But that's not true because... Well, no, there's oxygen underwater. We just can't access it, I don't think. I don't know, man. In his highly metaphorical speech about lightning, Iroh calls it the cold-blooded fire, saying it is precise and deadly, like Azula. Yeah, and it's like, I mean, that's very metaphorical, but I don't know. Avatar's fucked with so much shit, but they don't give us, like, answers on the things we want answers on. And when they give us answers, they're bad. They're bad and they're wrong, and I will say they're not canon for the rest of history. But I am not going to let this ad break play. I am going to chuck us out here. I don't think there's anyone for us to raid. No, I don't see anyone for us to raid tonight. So I will just click us on out, I think. Yeah, because just chatting. Legos. Marvel Rivals. Tabletop. Oh, Nerds with Dice is having their finale. Let's raid to them, even if we don't stay, because they're having a finale episode. Woohoo, I'm clicking buttons. Okay. Oh god. Oh, I fucked it up. Alright, hold on. It is not happy. Okay. Raid Nerds with Dice. Alright, y'all. Nerds with Dice is having a finale episode, so let's go show them some love if you can. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the raid, Rywack, and everybody who came with Rywack. You guys are fantastic. Thank you, Theta, for staying with me and talking about religion and spirituality and Avatar ranting, and Rywack for the Avatar ranting, and Alex for the Avatar ranting. I appreciate you guys very much. We will work more, hopefully, on our minis on Wednesday. She's looking pretty, though. And we'll get as many done as we can. We've got like 2 weeks left in the month. And then you guys aren't going to see me for May since I'm going to be at conventions. But if you're in Michigan, all right, you're going to be at Motor City, come see me with my event. But other than that, y'all, I will see you on Wednesday. Have a good night. Goodbye.